Hello, everyone. Welcome back from the intermission for tonight's game in Franchise Premier League between Final Boss and Silver Song. Thanks for waiting between. And again, it's Kevin Duncan True taking you through the first game of the night in this best of three fearless. And we're going to see, just starting off, the whole gang of Silver Songs just looking for this five-man bush invade. So let's see if anything crazy happens because they're going towards the top side and Fox is right there waiting.
Yeah, I mean, Fox might be in a little bit of trouble here. Slow is going to land, but I don't think that Silver Song are really going to commit for it. It's not worth it. Also, you did see that blind hookers went towards the river bush, right, to potentially head off anyone that wanted to back the Galio up. But that also means that even when the wind becomes lightning slow, you don't have Winter's Bite to follow up off of it, meaning that it's not really worth it to try to chase down the Galio. In Silver Song, they content themselves with just throwing some wards down. Now, they did ping out that Fallen warded uh, Contiguous's Raptor camp, so they should have that little bit of information as well. That also means, quiet level one, nothing too unexpected going to happen.
Yeah, a nice chill level one to start off. I think I would definitely, with
Maybe
that
with the
five
exception
man
of bot lane,
advantage. Yeah, I'd put it in the advantage of the one with the Braum, right? That concussive blows at level one so powerful as we see Angel and Griffin trying to get some early game prio and poke here. Drops the double up and do some damage, but a nice trade with the Boomerang Blade. So I think it's going to be pretty even for now. Level one brand doesn't do enough, but they are getting some good priority as they're able to push out the wave a lot faster than the Sivir and Braum.
Yeah, by virtue of being that double range matchup, you're just able to do so. Now up here in top lane, we do have Wassel versus Little. The Pantheon was picked in response to the set, and you do see that Wassel wants to be aggressive with it, right? You see the PTA, you see the Ignite on this Pantheon. And to some degree, Pantheon is a champion that can kind of afford to not take teleport, especially once you get access to your ultimate. You can come back into lane with it, or you can choose to roam. But until then, I think that Wassel is really just relying heavily on Pantheon's ability to quite literally poke you with the spear, but also just having that kill threat with you.
Yeah, early game kill threat, very powerful. You have the empowered abilities. Look at that nice trade, procs the PTA instantly, but a huge haymaker makes the trade even back in the form of Little. One thing we have to mention, Sunny D swagging a nice chunk. The shield barely doing anything, but we see the aftershock being proc. Now Wassel getting ganked, but it's a failure. He gets first blood by turning it around, but it's a mid lane solo kill by Sunny D swag. Action all across the map. Wassel turned that around with that ignite, gets enough damage as Conguitos kind of fails the gank, but Sunny D Swag picks it up in a solo kill, burns everything from the Galio, and just full combos in.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a sliver of difference as to that Pantheon getting that kill. But at the end of the day, it's 1-1 across the map, as we did say. Sunny D Swag was able to get the kill on Fox's over aggression there, and now the Galio has to TP back into lane. You can see the Ari just content to walk it back. So really, Sunny D Swag relatively well set up for success. You're not necessarily losing out in a whole bunch. Wassel, on the other hand, coming back into lane with that long sword. Granted, Little didn't lose out on anything outside of just seeing Contiguous die and Pantheon get 300 gold. But that's not the end of the world for the set, right? You're not at a personal disadvantage quite yet. Um, Set is a champion that kind of lives off of might live or die off of an early all in. So maybe that is something that Little is a bit concerned about. Otherwise, I think the highlight is that just the mid lane solo kill with Sunny D Swag just really punishing Fox super hard in that very moment.
Yeah, they just landed everything. They kind of timed out Fox's full combo, knowing that the Galio doesn't have enough early damage. As a Galio player, I know how bad it feels. You waste your entire burst with your passive with the combo, and then you just hit them with your Puny rock fists and do 5 auto attack damage. But
Mm-hmm.
really well played by Sunny D Swag and Wassel. I think one thing that is so important in these kind of matchups as a Pantheon, you want to have your opponent right outside of the range of your Comet Spear, and the ability to do that, outspace your opponent like set with the boots is going to be really important because in kind of those longer extended lanes, Little I think has the advantage in that time frame because of the passive and the Doran Shield regen. Now also kind of walk up, hit the Comet Spear, walk back, and not have any fear of getting hit with the full combo.
I mean, the Doran Shield regen, it is meaningful. You're absolutely right about it. But I think the other thing is just that it doesn't feel great when you're constantly getting poked, and you can only rely on that regen to a certain degree too. Like
See
Seth's
also
own
going for
passive.
the
Oh,
underturret, the dive. He gets hit with the haymaker, but blocks the damage, gets jumped on by the wind becomes lightning, and the audacious shard Conguitos back again for round two says, I am not failing this time, and picks up a nice gank countering the dive of the Pantheon to pick up a second kill for his team.
yeah, like the Pantheon just being a little bit too aggressive, playing on the edge of that turret range, getting pulled in does mean he eats a turret shot, and then as you said, Guido's coming in. Very simple gank, no flash to be used this time. Get that kill, but off of Xin Zhao showing up there in the top lane. On a boss responding pretty quickly. You can see they are going for that first Drake on the map.
Yeah, first straight going to be secured without any contest on this Nefiri. And look at the difference in the clear speed between these two champions. Zhao, very powerful early ganker, but Nefiri with the ability to kind of go between camps with the hounds and like use that damage over time from the darkened daggers to make your clear so efficient. Picks up the Hextech Drake, but is still 20 CS up on their opponent in the jungle. So that's going to be a very big deal. They're going to have that early game power spike, likely the Eclipse very early. And I think after that, once they hit level 6, they can, hit the point and click ultimate with the Hound's Pursuit and make stuff happen on the map.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Nefiri is great at clearing, but I think the other thing that kind of exacerbates that is just the fact that Guidos, did die off the first gank, but then in regards to it, he's ganked the second time too, right? Like the more times you're going to gank, it means you are going to ultimately fall a little bit behind on farm. So those things being considered, it makes sense that Fallen doing a bit better for himself. Up there in top lane, Wassel
Little actually
being pretty
jumped on him on the
aggressive.
ward, has the showstopper blocked. The damage at Flash.
Ooh.
Haymaker secures the feat of warfare. A nice play from him. Waited for the Pantheon to burn the Aegis Assault before committing that Haymaker fully stacked grid. So a solo kill, turning this lane back around. He's now in the advantage. Oh, a flash out from Griffin, avoiding the wind becomes lightning. Bit dangerous for him as if he got tagged by that, likely slowed into the stun from the Braum. Now we see Fallen now approaching Little. They do have the ult and Little does not. They go for the Eviscerate, doesn't hit, but Little's choosing to fight with this in the minion wave, taking the Nefiri so low. He's just dealing so much damage. The Call of the Pack does
Oh
nothing
man.
as the Haymakers time perfectly. And now we see the Grand Starfall come in, uses the Aegis Assault for the movement speed, jumps on him with the Shield Bolt. Comet Spear does not have enough damage to execute at this health percentage. Little making a great play, just knowing that they can take down the dog, wrestles him to the ground, gets another kill for themselves. Now 2-0 in this lane.
Yeah, Little really able to make use of the healing that you get out of Conquer, but also just Set's own passive healing regen being super meaningful in that very moment. Fallen just thought, okay, maybe I have enough damage to get the kill myself. But unfortunately, this set really starting to flourish now, 2-0 and 1. And overall, things looking up for Silversong this far. Maybe not so much in the bot lane. As you can see, Angel and Griffin having a great time great time with this double range, and then you also just have Brand capable of hard shoving, and that's really reflected in Angel's like almost 4 what do you call it, wave CS lead, and they're getting plates for themselves. It feels great in bot lane, but really everywhere else on the map for final boss is kind of on fire, right? Pantheon's died twice, Nefiri died top once, Galio got solo killed. Things are tense for a final boss really everywhere other than bottom lane.
Yeah, like we said, this team kind of lacks damage in the mid game if they don't get ahead, right? Nefiri and Pantheon, these champions kind of spike on one item. I think Nefiri gets a little bit better, but yeah, Pantheon in those mid game team fights outside of your shield vault, you don't do a ton. Ooh, Sunny D-Swag with a nice chunk. I think they've been playing this lane out great. But yeah, like you said, True, it's just a huge advantage for Team Silversong. Their lanes are happy. They're in a position, even if the Silver's a little bit behind, I think in the mid game, Ari and Set with their damage just from first item, second item completion will kind of be the bridge that takes Sivir to the late game. I think it's going to be very hard unless this Nefiri gets some more ganks and gets ahead, finishes some items for them to deal damage, meaningful damage against something like the Set, something like the Xin Zhao and the Braum, right? These kind of bruiser, or well, not Braum as a bruiser, but these tankier frontliners, they're just so hard to kill with their abilities. It's going to be, hard for them to make any angles, especially after that failed gank top.
Yeah, and like the state of things in these solo lanes for the side of Final Boss.
Chin
Whoa!
from whoa, Fox with that flash in tries to hit him with the shield of Durand, but doesn't manage to hit it. Sunny D Swag had to pop the Spirit Rush in response, but nice from them. Oh, now we see the Showstopper in top lane. Wassel flashes out of it, has to burn the flash to not die there, and now is at a huge disadvantage, going to have to burn the recall. And like you said, no TP in this lane means they'll likely have to use the ult to get back. Oh, flash in from the Braum, hits the Glacial Fissure onto the Angel, and now Griffin's taken low, gets healed into the trap, but a huge bullet time with the Pyroclasm does so much damage. Blind Hooker goes down in an instant, exploded. Melee Veins load, but so are Griffin and Angel. A nice turnaround on that 2v3 bottom lane fight. So the bot side of Team Final Boss might be the hope that they need to make it out of this game.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of. Oh, wait. Action's
Oh,
not over.
Grand
Wassel's here in bot
Starfall
lane.
into the bot lane. Wassel decided to go for it. Gets the chunk. One more Conflagrate onto Conguitos. Makes him burn to cinders. So that is a great run from Wassel. He's looking for more. Oh, chooses not to go for melee vein, knowing that Braum is recalled. A great look from him to get that kill. Oh, Sunny D Swag. He's not even going to let me finish speaking before he gets another gank in, but that means Little just gets free time with the Void Grubs onto the top turret plates. A huge injection of gold likely for this set, who's already been a problem for the Pantheon to deal with.
Yeah, but it's so much of a problem. We were seeing that earlier. It's like kind of what I wanted to get into, right? Like Pantheon cannot just dual set at this point. Like you see that set has those completed plated steel caps, and really just the health difference between the two just results in Pantheon struggling, which is why Wassel decides to go down into the bot lane, right? Like you can't do anything top. The best you can do is hold. Maybe you can help your team get an advantage elsewhere. That's exactly what they opt in for.
Engage on a
Fox.
Sunny D Swag, but it is a Dragon secured 4-team final boss. Hound's Pursuit goes in on the Ahri, but she still has the Spirit Rush to keep her safe. Fallen taken solo with the hero's entrance activated. Conguitos has to flash out of it. Scrap here. Oh, the Justice Punch misses. It hits into the wall, so a bit of a flub there, but Sunny D Swag with blinking health bars. Conguitos flashing out. A nice look back from Team Final Boss, taking the Dragon and chunking out the opposing mid laner. Great proactive play from them after taking the objective to bring their team closer towards, actually further ahead now in gold.
Yeah, and if you take a look at the gold, it kind of just confirms what we already knew, right? Top lane going great for the side of Silver Song. Mid lane as well, right? You can see that Ahri is just about 600 gold exactly over Fox. Jungle a bit more even off of the deaths in bot lane, but obviously bot lane really, really difficult right now for Silver Song. That MF really is flourishing with this Bloodthirster completed. It's also harder to kill her, and MF just has so much raw damage that things can just play out quite well so long as you get a good bullet time off, exactly like what we saw in the bottom lane here. Little Wassel, though, continue duking out in the top lane, but it really feels like Wassel on this Pantheon can just never contest or can never look for a 1v1 anymore.
Yeah, you can say that again. You say that it was a trade, but I don't think they traded anything because Little just gave them the beatdown. Griffin and Angel in their spot lane, though, like you mentioned, very powerful. Both completed their first core item. They're about 2K gold ahead from what we saw, kind of matching the top side, seeing that Sunny D Swag and Little are about 2K ahead of their counterparts combined. So, yeah, the gold lead is very close, only about 600. Oh, Glacial Fissure goes wide to try to clear the wave. They're taking so much damage. Oh my god, the bullet time just kills the Braum, but Sunny D Swag is here for the counter gank. No, chooses not to as they see the Grand Starfall. Now it's 4 members from Final Boss moving into the bot lane. A bit of poke from Sunny D Swag as they're getting ran down by the Pantheon. The TP now coming out from Little's. Little set is now here. It's going to be a 3v4. The charm misses. Melee Vein is so low, and Conguitos is going for the 1v1. Jungler 1v1 in the top lane. Uses the Crescent Guard. They're both taking a lot of damage, both around half health. Wind becomes lightning, hits. Audacious Charge doesn't. The Call of the Pack gets fallen out of there as Conguitos is kind of burning down the DOT, but boom! One more Hound's Pursuit gets the kill. It's a solo kill between the junglers. Xin Zhao was just not ready for that fight as the Darken takes him over. Something about that is in the lore, but now it's kind of equalized in the bot lane. Both laners from the top going to the bot to kind of stop the play, but in the end, it is still Team Final Boss clawing back the gold.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Final Boss, like I won't say is like truly firmly in the driver's seat, but they do have the advantage, right? Roughly 1.5k gold to their name, and we're just seeing that expressed so heavily in the bottom lane. what we saw with the kill onto blind hookers, Fox and Sunny D Swag, they're trading blows a little bit. I think obviously the Ari having the better end of things, but what we saw in the bottom lane with the kill from the bullet time is exactly what I said. Blind hookers, needs to be so cognizant about, like throwing out your glacial fissure, throwing out, or like not putting up unbreakable at the right time is catastrophic for this Braum, because that means MF gets everything that she wants in the world, and you cannot afford to use your abilities like that. Yes, I understand. You're trying to buy time for that Ari to come down to like punish, but like it was a really foolhardy in that situation to use those abilities like that. It just results in the Brahm's death and this continued bot lane dominance for the side of Final Boss. Now, top lane, overall, the solo lanes are still doing quite well, and Little is still quite scary. But, like, as far as it's concerned, like, I don't think that things are really playing out how Silversong want them to, because this MF is getting scarier and scarier, and we have yet to see a way for them to neutralize it.
Yeah, the death ball comp of Team Final Boss is kind of finally kicking in. I think the Galio's been so key to just set up for these plays with the crowd control. I think Fallen's having a great game on the Nefiri, being able to clear very fast and take that 1v1. Huasso, like we said, is a bit behind. Oh, Little going for it. Stride Breaker's in. Call of the Pack has to be used, but a flash Glacial Fissure from Blind Hooker's in. Angel has to flash out as a huge bullet time goes across so many members. Oh my god, it's the showstopper into the backline, does so much damage. One shots Angel, still in the backline. Huasso tries to trade back as Melee Vayne is taking in melee form, as we see just fighting back and forth. Melee just going for the kills, gets killed by Fallen. So in the end, it's a 5-for-3 team fight. The brand Pyroclasm plus the bullet time just rips apart Team Silversong, but in the end, it was them coming out on top, even after Little had a great ultimate into the Haymaker, just blowing up multiple members.
Yeah, I mean, it looked a little bit even up until it wasn't, right? Like, as you said, the bullet time somewhat meaningful. Like, that's the other thing that you need to talk about. Like, bullet time is a 3-second channel, right? Now, Unbreakable can go up in its duration up to 4 seconds. The base is 3. But if you throw it up a little bit late, that pretty much means that the bullet time will last through Brahm's Unbreakable. So it can be pretty dangerous to just not time it out really well. But at the end of the day, the Pyroclasm was also there, and that's also, once again, difficult to deal with for pretty much the entirety of Silversong's comp. And as you were talking about, these early item spikes for the Pantheon, for the Nefiri, are really meaningful, especially when you look at Xin Zhao, who's weaker, and Set, who unfortunately just made his way into the fight a little bit late. So yeah, Final Boss, they're starting to fire on all cylinders, and they're doing quite well for themselves. But they are, they are positioning around this Cloud Drake is pretty precarious, as you do see Silversong trying to split up.
And we see jump in with the Spirit Rush, tries to hit the Charmer, but it hits nothing. Conguitos in the backline on top of Angel, uses the Crescent Guard early. A huge showstopper, does so much damage as we see the bullet time getting channeled. Little's just face tanking it. Conguitos taken so low. Haymaker misses, but they get the kill onto the Pantheon, as we see this third Dragon secured by Fallen as they get the kill on Silver as well. Hound's Pursuit in. The Unbreakable goes up. Fallen's taken so low, gets killed, shut down by the Ari. Now we see Angel's free firing as Fox is on the front line. There's so much damage from this ball. It is stun over the wall. Angel's now chasing down Sunny D Swag. A nice dodge of the charm. A triple kill for this Misfortune. And they secure the dragon. It is a bloody team fight as the river runs red. But in the end, again, it is Final Boss that come out on top in that team fight.
Yeah, and it looks like Final Boss for a little bit. For a moment, they get split up, as you do see early that Huasso gets taken out. You see that Angel is forced back because Conguitos and Little, they go forward. They try to take MF out, or at least try to remove her from the fight. And while MF isn't there, it doesn't look too bad. But then, the bullet time comes through. There's no way to interrupt it. The bullet time rips through the set, rips through the Xin Zhao, and that gives Final Boss the opportunity to reorganize and regroup the entire time. Fallen is just wrapping up the dragon. And when that's done, it's like, okay, let's go. Fallen goes in, the Nefiri still dies, but that just means that MF stays untouched and can completely, auto the rest of the team down. And at the end of the day, it was only the Ari that was up, and it's just not good enough to kill the MF in that very moment.
Yeah. Oh, as we see here, Little going for the Galio as Pantheon gets charmed. Also tagged with the Wind Becomes Lightning. The Braum is here for the stun. This is a kill surely. No, okay, one more Wind Becomes Lightning, and now it's a 3v3. They pick off the Pantheon early. Melee Vein is here on the Sivir, but only 1.5 items. Not even a half item, sorry. It's just 2 dinky long swords. Very far behind the pace of the game in this. So it's a nice pick from the side of Team Silversong, but still, I think they're not able to confidently go at this Otacon. They're gonna start it though. This might be very dangerous as in the team fights, Griffin can do so much poke. Fallon looking with the darkened daggers. Blind Hooker's taken low. Conquito's taken low as well. Griffin's just here to zoning with the Pillar of Flame. The TP coming in from the Galio and the set. So it's both TPs activated to show up to this team fight. And they're still aggroing the Otacon. This is so dangerous for Silversong because their resistances are getting shredded. Griffin showing up here, getting some nice poke. Hits. Oh my god, Conquito just dies to Falvin's Nefiri as we see the hero's entrance going out zoning. He's still in the backline as the Showstopper goes in on the Nefiri, but it means that the Otacon's going to die on the other side. So it's Otacon traded for the dog. One darkened for another. Otacon goes down for team final boss as their jungler dies for it.
Oh man, not over Huasli like that.
Oh.
It's always a bit shocking to see a Pantheon W get interrupted, right? Because it's such a short match.
Still going for it. Oh my god. He doesn't have quite enough damage to get the kill. Oh, the charm barely misses on a Hwasel. Angel's just pumping out so much damage. Feels like she's untouchable on this Misfortune as we see low health bars from Team Silversong trying to defend this turret. I don't think this is a wise choice. Yeah, they choose the wiser and decide to give up this bot lane tier 2, knowing that they can't fight against this full health Misfortune.
Well, it's just a question of like, well, how do we hit the MF, right? Like, MF still has the Galio and the Braum. Like, Pantheon's off to the side too, acting as something of a distraction, being such a low HP target. And at the end of the day, that just means that Angel gets to do whatever Angel wants, right? Like, no one is hitting this MF, not necessarily for lack of trying, but really lack of capability to do so. And until Silversong figure out a way to stop MF from expressing her gold lead in these fights, they are going to continuously struggle. Like, really, the only person who things are panning out quite well for still is this Ari. But as we saw earlier, like, Ari doesn't have much to stop MF from having a large team fight impact. And that composition that Silversong had put together is still stumbling. And, like, I was really pulling for the Braum to be able to stop the MF and like stop that bullet time, give your team some breathing room in those team fights, but it just hasn't panned out. Things are just going from bad to worse. Final boss is 3 dragons up. They're working towards the last one, but they're also looking for MF.
Finally caught out. Oh my god, on top of the midway, the shutdown goes over to the Braum. But it's a Grand Starfall in as Conquito's taken low, gets jumped on by the Hound's Pursuit. Fallen is in there. He has to flash out as we see the kill is picked up, and it's a kill traded back actually for... Oh, actually, it's 2 kills. The Braum just exploded, and Xin Zhao just exploded in an instant. This Nefiri has so much damage. One more Hound's Pursuit. It's a flash stun on his SNG swag, but a nice Zanya's Showstopper into the backline. Can Little get the kill? No, it's barely not enough to chase down Fallen. He's going after Griffin, but he's getting slowed by the Rylai's. One more Pillar of Flame keeps him in place as the kill is picked up again. Fallen just baiting them to their death. This is a 3-for-1. They finally get the kill on Angel's Misfortune, but it comes at a heavy, heavy price as it's not only going to be 3 kills for Team Final Boss, it's going to be the Chemtech Dragon Soul.
Yeah, and maybe if the set kills the Nefiri there, you have a much healthier situation to look for a contest. But even though the Nefiri got so low, critically stayed alive in that very moment. So yes, Dragon Soul goes over to the side of Final Boss, and they do exactly what I was saying they needed to do, right? Like, they needed to kill the MF. They needed to make sure MF wasn't a factor. But unfortunately, that's necessary but not sufficient, because the other part of that, right, the other thing that we should be talking about here, for as well as Angel's been doing, is Griffin, who is now 4-0-8 on this movement speed oriented brand. You can see Dead Man's Plate in the inventory. I was wondering, like, what's the guy building? Like, I saw one of the component items there. I was like, there's no way that's Dead Man's Plate. It is. And Griffin really just focusing on the ability to disrupt, having that slow available. Now also having the Oblivion Orb to disrupt any healing from that set, from that Xin Zhao, from the Ari even. And that is paying off quite well, in addition to the fact that Brand's passive still hits like a truck on these squishier targets. So while they killed the Ari, they removed or sorry they killed the MF and they removed MF. The unfortunate fact of the matter was that they weren't able to kill the brand as well, and now Sunny D
Blast
Swag
going
and
in. Sunny D Swag has to burn the Spirit Rush, a huge chunk, but now Griffin's under the turret. Movement speed. Brand is here. Ooh, a nice dodge of the Comet Spear. Barely gets Sunny D Swag out alive, but Fallen is now hunting down the Braum. It's a 2v1. I think Fallen can take this because Melee Vein still doesn't have a second item. Hero's entrance is called down as Blind Hookers has to flash out. Hound's Pursuit on top of the Sivir. Sivir is trying to kite, but she just does no damage in return. Wind becomes lightning, hits on a Fallen. Fallen's taking this 1v1 as we see the bullet time being channeled. Blind Hooker is still getting chased down. Conguitos has to use the Crescent guard, but Fallen is undeterred, just runs down the opposing jungler. This Nefiri's got the dogs out and is just taking over this game. 3 items, 9, 3, and 5, absolute domination from minute 1, and now it's going to be Team Final Boss taking an uncontested Baron.
And it really feels like the only person who's capable of like being a threat is Sunny D Swag on this Ari. And it also feels like in response to that, Final Boss is like, okay, well, as long as MF is staying untouched, all we have to do is pressure the Ari. This is exactly what they're doing, like we saw them force Ari or force Sunny D Swag into a situation where it looked like they're gonna die. The Ari has to burn the Zanyas, or not necessarily burn Zanyas, but burn the ultimate or at least stay alive, and it's just really, really difficult. Or
Yeah, Ari
Silver
getting
Song to
jumped
be
on
successful,
again.
it's
Does
always
not
gotta
have the
die.
Zanyas available. Does not have the Spirit Rush. Gets taken down in
Oh man.
too far. The enemy jungle just gets jumped on by Hwassel, jumped on by Movement Speed Brand. Griffin and Hwassel pick up that kill. And like you said, the one lifeline that Silver Song had is now dead in the dirt.
Yeah, and if you are Silver Song, right, like what's your landscape, right? You're hoping that the Sivir can scale up to a point of relevancy, but Sivir is also like an item and a half functionally behind at this point. Like you are you are hoping for like a 40-minute game to where maybe Final Boss have some catastrophic positioning mistakes, and then you can win off of a final cataclysmic team fight. That is Silver Song's, one hope at this very moment, because it just feels like Final Boss are pressuring them so hard and pretty much just all over the place. Like for as little of an answer as there was for the MF, there's also lacking answer. They're also lacking answers for the brand. They're lacking in answers for the Nefiri as well. Like this Nefiri is running all over them at this point. So really, Silver Song, like they are just praying for a miracle right now. Whereas Final Boss, they can kind of just play this out. Like, they're the ones with the substantial lead. They're the ones with soul. And they're not really getting all that pressured in these fights.
Yeah, pray as you might, the solution might not come as we see a group. We see the Baron buff taking down the tier 2 top turret, the tier 2 mid turret. As, yeah, this movement speed brand, just shout out to Griffin. Even without the Dead Man's Plate, he was playing so well, posturing in fights. He was essentially 2v1ing near one of the Dragon fights. I think he's just been a great kind of a disruptor on something that does more damage, but he's playing it like a frontline champion. And there's just nowhere, like you said, True, there's just nowhere for Silver Song to go. They're getting pushed in all lanes. They have no way of engaging on the Super Fred Misfortune. Sivir, again, just finally hit the IE second item after 28 minutes. They're so far behind the pace of the game, and now it's just a slow walk in as we see the Grand Starfall going out. Sunny D Swag is already taken so low. Conguitos uses the Crescent Guard, but he's taken so low, just going to die to the Nefiri. Gets taunted up. Oh, the bullet time actually gets canceled. And we see this Showstopper in the backline. Fallen's in the backline. Gets a kill on Sivir, but now Griffin is free firing onto the set. Set cannot 1v3 here. Fallen's just still in the backline using the Call of the Pack to get himself alive for one more Darkened Daggers to finish the kill. Blind Hookers watches as his team gets destroyed and his base gets wrecked to pieces. And it's going to be game 1 here secured for Team Final Boss off the backs of a beautiful jungle, a beautiful bot lane play. It was nothing that Silver Song could do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for Final Boss, right, like things that didn't necessarily go how you wanted them